Why, hello again. Now, one of my dear viewers commented if I could possibly discuss the areas which we, the players, will experience in Hollow Knight Silksong. I thought a bit about this idea and maybe I could just do the same as I did with the bosses. I will discuss the few infos we have, look at some pictures and will then leave everything open to discussion. Now, 3 areas will not be fully included here. Moss Grotto, Deep Docks and Greymere I have already discussed in separate videos, which you can check out on my channel. The rest of the areas, even though we until now can't differ between area and sub-area, I will try to analyze here as good as possible. If any of you have any ideas, theories or speculation, then be my guest and leave your opinion down in the comments below. So without further ado, let's dive into Silksong's areas. Even though I won't go in depth with the aforementioned areas, I will give a short sum of what we know. Moss Grotto is the first area. It's filled with little moss bogs flying and crawling around the green lush caverns. Moss covers both bog and earth, and rocky areas are also found. Hornet must ascend until she reaches a sub-area called the Old Church, protected by a character which we until now only know as a church keeper. Here the players must battle the Moss Mother and after defeating her move up to meet the Keeper. Civilization wise this area is very basic, most likely tribal level. Aside the church keeper we don't know of any NPCs, though it is not unlikely that this area will be far bigger than what we have seen until now. Possibly Chakra will make her way into all these areas anyway, since we need maps of course. So that closes off that area. Perhaps we will learn a few basic moves here. Maybe Hornet will acquire from this church keeper how to play her needle for further advancement. The area Deep Docks is completely different. It is a big industrial complex with lava lakes, lava streams and bell workers. We're eager to send Hornet plummeting to her doom. You as the player have to move down the docks, fight said bell enemies and also acquire a certain key. With this key you can unlock a door which will bring you to your first boss fight with Lace, a character which I described in my Deep Docks and boss video respectively. After defeating Lace, you move on to a sub-area entitled the Wild Song Shrine for now, and here you must activate a bell, which will display a seal of binding. As far as I know, Deep Docks will be far bigger from what we've seen similar to Moss Grotto. The last area we know most of is Greymere. As described in my last video, Greymere seems to be a gloomy, misty area filled with crawbugs, dust roaches and more. The area is supposed to be gigantic, filled with many mysteries to uncover. It also reminds me of a giant graveyard with tenders of the land roaming the area. Hornet will face off against an unknown lethal lunging foe according to Team Cherry. Who this might be I don't know, maybe Lace, maybe Sharp or someone entirely different. After we've covered these now, let's get to some speculation. Now here I enter a warning, dear viewer. All of the following is based on speculation. I have no evidence to support my claims aside the screenshots presented in the Silksong reveal trailer. Without further talk, let's begin. The first area I want to talk about is an area dubbed by fans as the Coral Forest. This is a colourful area with shades of red and blue. The area itself, as the name suggests, is covered with coral and fish-like enemies, or at least entities, are seen roaming the area. In contrast to say Greymere, this area is very bright. 2 special foes can be seen in this area. For one, a metallic enemy with sharp hands and a little metal companion, seen shooting a laser at Hornet. This enemy is speculated to be one of Sharp's assassin companions, as I speculated in my boss video. Weirdly enough, the fight in the reveal trailer looks not like a boss fight, more like she would fight a random enemy. Perhaps there is a certain new mechanic to these assassins, though they might just show up irregularly. A boss in the Coral Forest on the other hand might be this Coral Warrior, who is seen attacking Hornet in the trailer. I also discussed his attributes in the boss video. This boss, though, is fought in some sort of structure as suggested by the coral walls and the pillars in the background. Perhaps we enter some form of temple to fight this Knight of Corals? Other than that, Coral Forest is a total mystery. Another area seen in the reveal trailer, but without any description, is what I like to call the Bell Temple. This is only a name given by me and there is no real name for this place yet. The area itself seems to be sort of metallic and there are platforms with spikes everywhere. Members of the Bell, which I described in my King of Fallen video, are roaming the area. That is also where I got my name from. Seeing as how this place looks fairly civilized and also difficult to ascend, I assume this is one of the latter areas, probably close to the citadel at the top of Falun. The area is also very bright and in the background illuminated glass windows are seen. This also furthers my belief that this all plays in some form of temple or cultist structure, maybe a church. Side note, the whole temple area also seems to be filled with bells, which is something common in Falun if we go by the trailers. In another screenshot we can see a platform with a lever, another cultist enemy and also pillars with the symbol of Falun on the background. The whole color scheme of this area reminds me of one of the Gilded Cities which we also saw in the trailer. Perhaps these 2 areas are close to one another? Now I mentioned prior and oftentimes before, the Citadel crowns the lands of Farloom. Here in the reveal trailer we are never really shown the structure itself, but on the category New Legends near the end we can see Hornet fighting a cultist warrior, because he's wearing their sign on his body, in some form of massive structure. The background is illuminated, but otherwise this area seems fairly dark as the warrior can hardly be seen. We have no confirmation if this does in fact play in the Citadel, but it might. Another point of note might be that the symbol in the background could be the often described Farloom symbol, but I am not sure of that yet. Moving on, we have another area, which until now cannot be attributed to any area specifically. The area seems to consist of a giant clock tower going by the moving mechanisms in the background, and little flying enemies are looming in it. Hornet can actually use these enemy types for ascension as she does in the trailer. The tower is very dark and is quite different in design from the towers which I described in my Greymore video. Where this tower lies I do not know, perhaps also in Greymore, maybe it is some form of special area. From this dark area let's move on to a greener area. What directly follows the clock tower area in the trailer is a green area filled with strange plants. Hornet dashes through an area as an enemy above spits green spit from its mouth onto her. This dark blue enemy also moves across the ceiling of the room, following Hornet. After it's finished, it closes its mouth again with its hands. Color-wise, this area could be attributed to the Moss Grotto, but its shade of green is much darker and the backgrounds are totally different. These weird plants in the foreground are also nowhere to be seen in the Moss Grotto area. Let's now get to the last of the areas of which I want to talk about. On the new town section we can see another city, yet this one isn't gilded. We can see multiple NPCs standing on the side of the road. I will call these NPCs pilgrims, as a character named Sherma, which I described in my Deep Dogs video, is seen resting in this town. Therefore I dubbed this one for now Pilgrim City. In the background structures can be seen, such as gates and giant buildings. They look similar to the Bell or Cultist temples, so perhaps this is another closed town. A chair is also standing on the road for Hornet to rest on, I presume. Otherwise there seem to be some houses in this little town, maybe for the pilgrims to rest before they ascend further on to the Citadel. Maybe they are also churches of sorts. Later down the trailer's runtime we can also see a quest board in the city, similar to the quest board shown in the Gilded City. Following this town it is a darker area again, with a character I coined Elder Shell, as I mentioned in my previous video. This figure looks similar to Lem in the first Hollow Knight game. Maybe they are from the same species? The figure carries a stick in his right hand and looks fairly elderly, similar to Elderborg in the first game. A giant Lumifly container in the middle of this town illuminates the place, and there is also a bench for one to rest upon. There are also small houses visible in the background. Other screenshots of this dark area are also visible in the reveal trailer, and the fans have dubbed this area Barnacle area, as giant barnacles are often seen in the background. Crab-like enemies are also crawling around some platforms in this part of Farloom. Finally, two other areas I want to mention. One has been coined by fans as the Forest of Bones, a scrapped area from the first Hollow Knight game, set to appear in Silksong. This area is perhaps shown a few times during the reveal trailer. In one scene Hornet fights against two ant enemies, in another Sherma helps Hornet by opening a door in front of her. My speculation is that this is the area where the players will have to fight the ant tribe, as the ants are shown wearing skulls on their bodies and carrying bones as weapons. Perhaps this is also the grander area where the players fight off against Carmelita, the Ant Queen I described in my boss video. The foremost characteristic of this area is bones, both in the background and in the structures themselves. To move on now, we come to the last area, which until now is completely speculative. I have no name for this area, but we see it twice in the reveal trailer. The first time we see Hornet fighting off against Lace, not in the deep dogs but in a darker area. Giant pipes in the background, white plants spread across the floor, a metal cage or elevator with a symbol of Farloom crowning it in the middle of the stage. White strings attached to the floor going up into the area's top. The last time we see this area, I believe, is at the very end of the Silksong reveal trailer, where Hornet is seen binding in front of a weaver mask. Hornet sort of shouts and Silk floats around her wildly. Judging by the strings and the darkness itself, this area could be the same with Hornet battle Lace as I described prior. It is unclear where this area lies, but going from the importance it has in the trailer, it must be one of, if not the most important area in game. It is also shown in the category New Heroes, which might suggest that Hornet accomplishes a heroic deed in this scene of the trailer. Perhaps she will free the Weavers, as some fans speculate that the Weavers are captured by the cult of Farloom for the production of silk. This could also explain why Hornet was captured in the first place. Phew. This is a longer video than I expected it to be. As I always tend to say, if you have any theories or speculations or ideas or whatever, then please be my guest and write them down in the comments below. Until next time, dear viewer, speak soon. P.S. If you want to know what future projects of mine are, please watch my latest video, or well, the video I did before this one, about what I will do in the future. yeah, just to have a general info, you know, all of that.